Hello everybody, it's Vinyl Rich here with another Vinyl Finds video. 100 and whatever. I got some albums. Before I start though, I'm going to give a shout out to a guy from Denmark, I believe. His name is VinylLova. This one's for you, VinylLova. New channel. I think, if I remember right, he has 3 videos. Not very many subs. If you like 60s psych and whatnot, I think you will enjoy his channel. It's always cool for us Yanks to get a perspective from the European guys and wherever in the world, you know. The next shout out, I'm going to do a couple of shout outs here. It's MetalMickey. He's doing a contest right now. I'm not going to enter the contest, but if you're not subscribed to MetalMickey, check his channel out. I'm going to leave a link to 4 different channels on this video. He does talk heavy metal, but man, he's got a really good personality, and I dig his channel. But yeah, his contest, the last question is show an album cover with a dog on it. And I really couldn't think of any, you know. But it kind of reminded me of a story. And I remember one time it was my my oldest daughter. We went to the park, and these 2 dogs were doing it. Humping away. My daughter goes, Daddy, what are those dogs doing? And I go, oh, they're making a puppy. She goes, oh, okay. I think it was maybe a couple of nights later. Me and my wife are having sex, and my daughter walks in. Daddy, what are you doing to Mommy? I go, well, we're making a baby brother or baby sister. And she goes, oh, could you flip Mommy over? And I'd rather have a puppy. Anyways, another shout out. Vinyl Douche. He shows a lot of new bands, 90s bands, 80s bands, but a lot of new bands that I'm not really hip to, because I'm an old fucker. And his taste in music's really cool. His sense of humor is even cooler. He has a similar sense of humor as me. Very dry, and yeah, I dig the dude. I think a lot of you will too. The Vinyl Douche. Anyways, one band he showed was Oranger. Never heard of them. Tried to look it up online. I couldn't find nothing. I did find a single of theirs though. And it's this one here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. I'm going to show a few 7 inches here, so bear with me, you album freaks. But anyways, it's Oranger, Mike Love, Not War. I mean, come on, man. With a song title like that, I had to check it out, dude. And it's funny. It's like, Mike Love sails over the ocean. Mike Love sails over the sea. And that, you know. And then it gets into a fast part, and then it goes back to that, Mike Love. And then it goes fast, and then it gets, it's funny, man. And the ending is very cool. And the B-side is the Porpoise song. The theme from the Monkey's Head film. It came with this little advert. And this little insert here. Mike Love, Not War. And then the Porpoise song. And then some info. And the vinyl. The 7 inch is really nice. Very cool. Oranger. I'm going to keep my eye out for them. Because both of these songs are really cool. The next 7 inch The next three I bought at website Sorry State Records. And the first one is Cement Shoes. Now, I've seen pictures of this online without the colored in part. I think the band might have done this. I don't know if this is limited or I'm talking out of my ass. I don't really know. But I have seen, like, if you click on Cement Shoes, this EP comes up, or this 7-inch comes up, but it's just black and white. And it's Fruity Funhouse and backed with I Saw the Devil Again. This is kind of weird. No, it's not weird. It's different. Very original punk single here. I'm banned, I mean, another band that I'll keep my eye out for. It's on Feel It Records. Glorious black vinyl. And the insert says the shoes, baby. And then it's got a picture of a gorilla carrying I don't know what with the lyrics. The next one, Stiff Love, Attitudes and Out of Control, 7-inch. All-female band. Very cool, very fun. Let me get this insert. They sound like they look. Very cool. Yeah, very cool. I used to know a girl that looked like this. Or a young lady, I should say. I don't know, man. I mean, it is strikingly weird how much. I mean, maybe it's her daughter. Who knows? I don't know where they're from. But yeah, very cool band, dude. Very cool. If you like that garagey, punky sound, not abrasive at all. And it's on black vinyl. The third and last one I got from Sorry State Records is a band Petite. I have another 7-inch by this band. This is an EP. And it's got this Doc Martin, like a vase with flowers in it. On the record, it looks like the Doc Martens are going to stamp the shit out of the flowers. That's side 1. Side 2, it's on glorious black vinyl. And this is the insert. It has a picture of the band. 3 females, 2 guys. Another punky band, but not abrasive. Very cool stuff. And the last one I'm showing here, 7-inch, is Diane Coffee. It's a Peel. I don't know, maybe that's his new album. I showed Diane Coffee. I made a video a while back, Old Farts Like New Music, and Diane Coffee is one of the guys I featured. And, oh yeah, it's brought to you by Peroni. I don't think I mentioned that, but if I did, they got 2 plugs. Anyways, I went, after I made that video, I go, man, I wonder if he has a new album out. And I didn't see nothing, but I saw this single, so I picked it up. And it's Poor Man Dan and Get By. Very cool. I mean, I dig Diane Coffee. This is the insert that came with it. His real name is Sean Fleming. I know him from originally being the drummer from Foxygen. If you like Foxygen, you're going to like this single. It sounds he actually has a band on this single. So I'm thinking his new album's going to have a band. His first album is he plays everything and it's fantastic, dude. If you're not familiar with Diane Coffee, go back and look up my video Old Farts Don't Like New Music. And this is what let me pull it out. Cuz it's on pink vinyl. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Now on to the 7 inches. But before I show my new purchases, I'm going to show this one again. I showed this in my last Vinyl Finds video, maybe 2 weeks ago. It was all 60s. And this is an album by the band Churchills from Israel. I misquoted. It was DallasPezz that showed this album. He bought an original, and those are very rare. This is a reissue, a very recent reissue. I highly recommend. There have been unofficial releases of this album, but I highly recommend this one. Man, jump on it now because they won't last. Fantastic psych album. If you like 60s psych, this album is fantastic, man. Subsequent finale, gee, man, that is some far out psych. If you like far out psych, go with this, dude. Fantastic. Now on to my new purchases. The first one is another garage comp, Bad Vibrations Volume 3. This one, all the songs on it are good, with the exception of maybe one. Some of the sound quality on them on some of the songs is up to par as some of the other comps that I've shown in the past. But it's a good comp. The standout track on side one was the band Trait, Parchment Farm. But it starts off with a band 5x5, Hang Up, Bittersweet, Like the Flowers. I mean, it starts off with a big bang. The weakest song is the last song, and it's by a band called Whatever. And the name of the song is The Valley of Death. You would think with a title like that, man, it's going to be a great song, but it's nah. Side two, my favorite song was by the Innkeepers, Never Should Have Done It. They actually have a song on side one also. And then the other band was Six Deep, Girl, It's Over. But not really a bad song on the whole comp. And that's what the label looks like. Bad Vibrations continues. I guess there's a volume 1 and 2. Now this next album is a Muddy Waters album, Mud in Your Ear. It's an album that I really wasn't familiar with. It's the 60s, recorded September 67, and it's just them jamming, basically. It sounds like, they just got into the studio and just jammed. Muddy Waters on guitar, Sammy Langhorne on guitar, Luther Johnson on guitar and vocals. He sings a couple of songs. George Mojo Buford, harmonica and vocal. I think he might sing on one song, or vice versa. Otis Spann on piano, and Francis Clay on drums. Very cool, very loose, very basic blues, but it's very enjoyable. Very cool just to hear these guys jamming. Muddy Waters, Mud in Your Ear. And it's on a record label I'm not really familiar with, Muse Records. And this came out in 73 apparently. I don't know if there's an original press that came out earlier. I'm not really familiar. The next album is the Stranglers' third album. Now I think I had 3 Stranglers albums. Could have been 4, now that I think about it. I traded 3 of them in. They were all from the 80s. The 3 I traded in, there's no way I was going to listen to them. I kept their first album. This is their third. Their second album is No More Heroes. I want to pick that one up. But this one has Nice and Sleazy. I knew that song. So I go, you know what? I'm going to check it out. And it turns out I knew this first song right away too, Tank. But yeah, it's not a bad album. It doesn't really have a bad song on it. Some of the keyboards, it's kind of like that Fender Rhodes sound, and it's kind of... But overall, man, it's really good. The bass player is probably the most prominent instrument on the album, other than the organ and keyboards. When this dude plays organ, dude, it's fantastic. Nice and Sleazy and Sweden are probably my 2 favorite songs on side 1. But Tank, the opening song on side 1, is great, and the closer is Toiler on the Sea. It's like an over 5-minute song, and it's fantastic. Now, this is a band that they were part of they came out and got popular with the first wave of punk. I've heard some critics say, "Oh, they're not really punks because they were rockers before," and you know, you could say that about the Dead Boys too. You know, I mean, but whatever. Their first album I think is fantastic. This album I like, but the critics really like their later ones. They got more sophisticated, and that's when they lost me, to be quite honest. So I'm a dumbass. I don't agree with the critics on this, but most critics didn't like punk by the 80s anyways. You know, that's why they started calling the good shit post-punk. It was punk, but they're calling it, because it's good, they're calling it post-punk. Whatever. Side 2, though, it's got Threatened, Death and Night and Blood, and In the Shadows, man. That song, the bass sounds, gee, man, it sounds like a PJ Harvey song from the 90s. And it has a goth sound to it, kind of like Bauhaus. Fantastic. And then the last song, Enough Time, it's a very original song, and the way it ends is just fantastic. The way this album ends is fantastic. I highly recommend this album. It's not as good as their first, but I rather enjoyed it. And, oh yeah, it's a cutout. See this? Look at the back, man. It's like, if you're going to drill a hole through it, at least use a sharp drill. I mean, look at that thing, man. It's like, fucking butchered the motherfucking cover. And it's on this gray and black, white and black, I don't know. Limited edition, black and white vinyl. Well, we all know that black and white makes gray. Fantastic. Now this next one I got in the mail yesterday with another album. I pre-ordered this album from Void Records, and it's by a band called Dark. This album came out in 72, and the album was called Round the Edges. It had a different album cover than this. This is a double album. It's actually, the name of this album is Dark Cross the Ages. It's got their original album that came out in 72, and it's got them performing live, the original band. And it's got a picture of them then and now. 2011, the live recording. This is heavy as heck. It's hard and heavy. It's like a garage band playing prog. I can imagine a band like Yes doing these same songs, and they would sound completely different. This would be, I recommend this for Corey, who does those hard and heavy videos. This is heavy, heavy, heavy. And this is a trip. The first song is called Dark Side. And part of the lyrics is, your eyes see the dark side of the moon. Where have I heard that? Dark Side of the Moon. This is a year before Dark Side of the Moon came out. Maybe they were performing it and these guys heard it. I don't know. Whatever. But Maypole, the second song. Holy moly, the guitar breaking it. It's really heavy hitting guitars. Kind of fuzzy. That's why it's not... It's really cool prog. But yeah, these guys, I recommend this. If you like that hard and heavy stuff that Corey shows, I think you'll like that. Maybe he'll feature this. I don't know. But it's right up his alley, dude. And it came with this insert. Kind of weird. Lego, guys. What's up with that? And, it's on Void Records. Very cool. And if you pre-ordered that, he sent a free album. And you could pick, what album you wanted. And I have a bunch of Void records that I haven't I haven't actually listened to all of them, and I haven't shown on the videos. I bought, I think 2 albums from Void, and he sent a 3rd one free. And then he sent an email saying, hey, you know what? I'll give you this deal if you buy 7 or 8 of them. And I went for it. And one of those was this band, Kazaa Doom, level 6.5. And I kind of dug this album. And one of the free ones he was offering, if you bought that dark, was maybe their 2nd album, Cherry Town. Now this, maybe, if they have a question next year, a great album with a bad album cover, this one might make it. I haven't really listened to all this yet. I listened to a little bit of it real quick. I mean, like I said, I only got that dark album yesterday. But yeah, very cool. The next one, let me close this door. The Faces first album. Now, originally it was called The Small Faces, but it was The Faces. In fact, I don't know, I don't know if this is a UK version or not. I know when I bought this album, it just said The Faces. But I don't have that copy anymore. This album is fantastic. I think it's the Faces had 4 studio albums. And I think A Nod's As Good As a Wink to a Blind Horse is probably their best. I would say this is probably their 2nd best. But all 4 are great. I think Ooh La La might have been their biggest seller. But it's not my favorite at all. This is fantastic, dude. I mean, I used to dig coming home when I was in high school, feeling a little buzz and just putting this on and listening to it on the headphones. Wicked Messenger, the Dylan song, it starts off side 1. It's fantastic, dude. And then the last song is Around the Plymouth. Fantastic. It's got a couple of songs, Shake, Shudder, Shiver, kind of just basic rock ones. Those are probably the weakest songs on here, you know. But it's got Devotion and Flying, kind of slower songs. Both fantastic. Rod Stewart right here. Ronnie Wood, who plays with the Stones now. I mean, just it's a all-star lineup. I actually got to see the Faces in '71. And I'm going to talk about that concert. Another very cool channel, Happy Hippie, the vinyl guy, he has a contest going. And it's all related to concerts. And I'm thinking of entering that contest. If not, I'm going to make a video kind of related to it. Kind of how I did Hannah. Where my last video, I showed my top 25 women in rock. This is what that basic green Warner Brothers. But in my opinion, the Faces are one of the best bands from the early 70s. Fantastic. They had 4 studio albums. They had 1 live. And they're all good. They're all good. People that only know Do You Think I'm Sexy, they're missing out if they're not listening to the Faces, the first 4 Rod Stewart albums, or the 2 Jeff Beck albums that he did with Jeff Beck. This next one, I bought the Gun Club. It's a live album, and this has Patricia Morrison on it. She was featured in my last video, the top 25 women in rock. This sounds fantastic. The band put this out. These 3 members did it because there were so many bootlegs of the Gun Club floating about. They gathered these songs and released this official release. Fantastic. Highly recommend. And that's what the label looks like. Mega Disc. I always thought that was a bootleg too, but apparently it's not. Now my most recent pick up is Speed Trials. I bought this at Burger Records in Fullerton. This was a concert held May 4th through 8th in 83. It's got The Fall doing 2 songs, and this is actually the first 2 songs I have by The Fall on vinyl. I have no Fall albums. I have no Fall CDs. I mean, there's so much shit. You can't get everything. In The Fall, they have so much out there. It's kind of hard to know where to start. But I can tell this is a band I need to check out, dude. It's got the Beastie Boys. It's got Live Skull, Sonic Youth, Lydia Lunch, Carbon, The Swans, and Toy Killers. All noisy as hell rock. Fantastic, dude. It's very good. Very plain, white labels, Speed Trials. Now, this last one I'm going to show, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. I talked about it in my vinyl tag. And Metal Theologians, and I said that I don't have it on vinyl. You know, I have it on CD. And he goes, man, if it's your favorite double album, you know, you probably should get it. And I figured I would get this while it lasts. It's the double album set of the White Album. It's the Beatles and the Escher demos. Comes in this box. Sgt. Pepper came out the previous year. This came out in 2018. Sgt. Pepper came out in 2017. And it came out with demos also. And I wasn't really impressed with the bonus tracks. I bought the CD, a double CD, and it had like instrumental versions of songs. And I don't know. It just didn't impress me. But these Escher demos, it's really, really cool. People are calling it like the Beatles Unplugged. But anyways, fantastic. I dig this album. The Beatles White Album. Everybody, well, not everybody knows it. Casual fans that they only know the hits by the Beatles, they obviously don't know this. This album is unlike any of their others. It's got a little of everything. I've heard some numbskulls say, oh, they should have just made it a single album. And I don't see how you could do that. For me, side 1 is perfect. Side 3 is perfect with the exception of Mother Nature's Son, which is a song I like more now than I used to. But, so there's only one song out of those 2 sides that, you know, I don't think are fantastic. So, what are you going to do? I would replace Mother Nature's Son with Savoy Truffle. Then you would have maybe the Beatles' best album ever, you know. Like I said, this is my favorite Beatle album. It's probably not their best, but yeah, it's fantastic, dude. And the mix... the new mix is really good. I recommend it. It's not as earth-shatteringly different as maybe the original mix. Not like the Sgt. Pepper. The new mix of the Sgt. Pepper I highly recommend. You hear stuff that you never heard before. This, not so much. It was more of a basic album. But yeah, man, Helter Skelter, dude. Fantastic. It's just, I think it's a great album. The only weakness on this album is side 4. The way this album ends kind of sucks. In fact, side 4, I mean, it starts off with Revolution 1, which is, it's good enough. And then it goes into Honey Pie, which is one of those lame-ass Paul songs. One of those goofy songs. It seems like he has to put one of these goofy songs on every album. Then you got Savoy Truffle and Cry Baby Cry, a George and John song. The 2 best songs on side 4 by far. Revolution 9, it's different than any other Beatles song. It goes on for too long. It's pretty cool, but I played it recently because I bought the CD first, and I told my wife, I bet you've never heard this song by the Beatles, and she goes, this is horrible. And then the last song, Good Night, it's just like anticlimactic. I mean, if they would have put the original Revolution after Revolution 9, that would have been a good ending for the album, you know. But whatever. And this is what the Escher demos look like. The Escher demos, basically, they were in India. They came back to England. They had written a bunch of songs. And all four of them got together and played them at George's house. And they recorded it on a 4-track, I guess. And what's amazing is Sgt. Pepper was recorded on a 4-track. You know, they would record 4 tracks, and then they would put all those 4 tracks on one, record 4 more and put that on a second. And they did that for all 4 tracks. And that's what's so good about the new version of Sgt. Pepper. They got the original tapes of each track, and now it's all separated. You can really hear Ringo's drums. You can really hear Paul's bass. And you can hear it on the White Album too, but it's just not as different. But anyways, this is just them jamming acoustically in George's house. There's been a lot of bootlegs of this, but I don't think the quality is the same. And I didn't show everybody's seen the Apple label, but on these Escher demos, they kind of did like a very plain copy of that label, and I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm very happy with this. And it came with this little. This could have been a little bit more. I mean, it's just like they could have done more. And it has the poster. It has the 4 photographs. I kept the shrink it came in. But anyways, that's it. All killer, no filler, and one of my favorite albums of all time. Take care, everybody. I'm going to leave some links in this video, and go check out those other channels, you know? You ain't got nothing to do. What? It's only Super Bowl weekend, you know? What else are you going to do this weekend? Take care.